Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. You may have heard about using composition over inheritance and that it is the good thing to do. So in today's video we are going to see some practical examples from real projects and we will see how we can use composition to improve our code. Before that, let's see what is inheritance and how we can use it. We will start by this rich text example. First we will create an abstract class called rich text, and we will have an abstract vol rich text tree. We will have a get text method which returns a string, a plain text, and we will have get nodes method which returns a list of rich text node which contains the styling and more information about the text. For example, here we have world, which is orange and underlined and bold. Now we want to add two abstract methods, save and load, that are going to save and load the rich text from and to a file. We can use those two methods with HTML files, markdown files, and maybe even JSON files. Now we can create a new HTML rich text class which extends the rich text abstract class, and we are passing the path of the HTML file in the constructor. Now we can override the save and load methods. For the save, we are converting the rich text tree to an HTML string and saving it back to the file. For the load method, we are loading the HTML text from the file and we are converting it into a rich text tree. Then we are setting it into the rich text tree that we have. We will also create a markdown rich text class which implements the rich text class as well and has the path of the markdown file in the constructor. Then we will do the same thing. Basically, we are overriding the save and load methods. So for the save, we are converting the rich text tree to a markdown string and we are writing that string to the markdown file. And for the load method, we are getting the markdown string from the markdown file and we are converting it into a rich text tree and setting it into the variable that we have. And now we have those two classes, HTML rich text and markdown rich text, ready to use to save and load data from and to a file. And with inheritance, we are sharing everything from rich text abstract class with other classes. So we can use the get text or get nodes from the HTML rich text or the markdown rich text, which help us reducing the duplication of code. Now we want to add a new class that has more functionalities. We can call it immutable rich text, and we want this class to be like we can append text, change the style, clear the text, and we can even add selection and position of cursor and so on. So this class is going to be something like class that can be used with a rich text editor. So now we can call the append, for example, and as you can see, we are appending hello. Then we can change the style of the current text. Then we will append world and it should be appended with the selected style. Okay, good. The problem here is that the save and load methods are empty and we are not using them because we don't have a file in the mutable rich text. So what we can do in this situation, maybe we can choose to throw an exception or just keep them empty, but this is not a good code and it's not a good practice because when we call this method, we are expecting something to happen. So let's see how we can fix this. Let's move to our rich text abstract class. Okay, now what we can do is removing the save and load method because we don't want to have them here. We will need to create a new abstract class specifically for file rich text. Then we will put those save and load methods in the new abstract class, and this abstract class already extends the rich text abstract class. Now we need to refactor our HTML rich text and markdown rich text, so we will change the parent to be the file rich text. Now we will have a compilation error on the mutable rich text because we are overriding the save and load methods and they are no longer part of the rich text abstract class. So we can simply remove those two methods. Now we will end up with something like this, and it's already getting a bit complicated. And in software development in general, we always have new features and new requirements. So now with only adding the mutable rich text, we refactored all our classes and we need to do a lot of changes. And in the future, we may end up with something like this and it is more complicated and harder to maintain. Now let's see how we can improve this and make it more flexible using composition. Before that, we need to understand what is composition and what is the difference between composition and inheritance. So as you can see, in inheritance, we always have parent and abstract class, and the subtypes that we are going to create are always related to that parent. But instead, in composition, we will have different behaviors and different implementations and different things that we can do, and we can combine them together to have the aspect that we want. Let's get back to our rich text example and see how we can improve it with composition. So we can remove the abstract keyword from the rich text class and the rich text tree. then we need to refactor our HTML rich text by removing the inheritance and keeping it as a simple class as well. Also, we will remove the override keywords from the save and load method. Now we will have some errors because we no longer have access to the rich text tree, which was coming from the rich text abstract class. And what we can do is passing the rich text as a parameter for the save and load method. Now with some refactoring, we can get the rich text tree from the passed rich text, and this way it should work fine. Now let's do the same for the markdown rich text. We will remove the inheritance and remove the override keywords, and then we will pass the rich text as a parameter for the save and load methods, and we will do the necessary refactoring. For the mutable rich text, also we are going to remove the inheritance, and now this one is different. Like, we don't have the save and load method that we are going to call only single time and that's it. Here we have multiple methods that we can have, like can have a chain of methods called together. So in this case, we are going to pass the rich text into the constructor of the mutable rich text. So then we can apply those multiple methods on that rich text. Now let's see how we can use all of those classes together. So we will have this main function here, and we first create an empty rich text. Then we have an HTML file called index.html. So we are creating an HTML rich text from that file. Then we are loading the HTML rich text to the rich text variable that we've created using the load method. Then we can create a new mutable rich text from the rich text variable that we already have, and we can apply multiple methods to it. Append hello, as you can see. Then we can change the styling, and we can append a word. Then we can save those changes back to the HTML file using the save method. So as you can see, we have a flexibility here, and we can use all of those classes together. Can even add the markdown rich text here and save the changes to a markdown file. Okay, good. Now let's move to another more advanced example. So let's say that we want to work on a graphics software where we have drawings on a canvas. Let's say something like Canva or Figma or whatever. We are going to create a drawing. Let's say we are creating an interface called drawing, and that has a method draw. Then we can create a rectangle or a circle, which are drawings, and then inside our app we can have a list of drawings of type drawing, and then we can draw all of those drawings into the canvas. So as you can see here, we need to have a common type drawing between all of our classes, so we can call that draw method. So it's quite different from the rich text example. Just a reminder, before completing, in inheritance we have the parent, which is an abstract class, and we have the implementation, and in composition we have the class that we want to build, and we have multiple behaviors, and those behaviors are interfaces or protocols or so on, depending on the language that you're working with. And for our case, it's going to be something like drawing, so it can be drawn in a canvas, movable, it can be moved, hoverable, it can be hovered, resizable, and so on. Now let's jump into the implementation of our classes. So we are going to implement the rectangle and circle drawings. For the rectangle, we will have a top left and the size. Then we can simply draw a rectangle. For the circle, we will have a radius and the center, and we will draw a circle with those coordinates. Okay, now let's say that we want our rectangle to be movable and the user can drag it and move it. As I said before, in composition we will have multiple interfaces that has multiple behaviors. So we are going to create a new interface, let's call it movable, and for moving something we need to track the position. So the interface is going to have the top left, and we will have a method move to change the top left. Of course, you can put any other position that you want. You can use center or bottom right instead of top left. It's the same. So we just need a point to track the position of the object. Then let's create a new interface. Let's call it shape movable, that implements the movable interface. And in this shape movable, we are simply changing the top left depending on the values passed to the move to. We can use this shape movable in multiple classes like rectangles, circles, images, like anything that we can move with just moving the top left position. Now let's add this implementation to the rectangle. So we will add shape movable interface to the rectangle, and we will need to add the override keyword to the top left, because now the top left is part of the movable interface. And that's it. That's how we can add a movable behavior to our rectangle. For the circle, it's quite different. We need to do some refactoring before that. So we are going to change the main constructor to accept top left and size instead of radius and center. And to keep everything easy, we can create a secondary constructor that accepts radius and center and change them to top left and size. So with these changes, we can use the shape movable because it tracks the top left. So we don't want to create a new movable interface just for the circle and that gets a center or something, you can just use the already existing one. Now we are going to add the shape movable interface, and we will add the override keyword to the top left, and that's it. We have the movable behavior in the circle. As you can see, now we are sharing code and we are using the shape movable in multiple drawings. And also, let's say that we have an image or something like that, we can use the shape movable there. But if we have something more complex, like a polygon, for example, so let's try to add a new class, polygon, new drawing, and the polygon, of course, is just multiple points linked together. So we need to pass a list of points to the constructor of the polygon. Then for drawing this polygon, we are going to create a new path. We will move to the first point, and then we will keep adding lines until we reach the last point. Then we are just going to close the path and draw it. So as you can see, you don't have top left or something. So to control the position of this polygon, we need to change the positions of all the points. So we can't just use the shape movable here. We need to create something new. So we are going to create a new interface. Let's call it polygon movable. And for this interface, we will have a list of points and we will have a top left. So as you can see, the top left here is automatically calculated each time you call it. So each time we call the top left, we are going to go to the list of points and get the mean X position, and for the Y, we will get the mean Y position. So that's how we can calculate the top left of a polygon. Then in the move method, we are going to calculate the difference between the new position and the old top left position, and then we are going to add this difference to all the points. So let's say that we are in position 100 and 100x and 100y, and we want to move to 200 and x and y. So the difference in 100 for both x and y. So we are going to add this 100 to all the points. Now we can simply move to our polygon class and add the polygon movable. Then we need to add the override keyword to points, and that's it. Now we have a movable polygon. And the cool thing is that this polygon movable can be reused somewhere else. Like let's say that we have a free drawing which accepts a list of points as well. So for this case, we can use the polygon movable and it's going to work even though the drawings are totally different and draw differently. So for the polygon, we are linked the points together to draw path and we are filling it. But for the free drawing case, we are just drawing like we are drawing line or something. And that's the beauty of composition. Like we can reuse a lot of code and reduce duplication and complexity. Now let's say that we want to add a new behavior to our rectangle and we want to make it resizable so the user can change the size of a rectangle. So we will do the same thing as the movable. So we are going to add a new interface, let's call it resizable, and it's going to have a size and a resize to method. Then we can create a shape resizable interface that just sets the new size to the size variable. Now we can simply use the shape resizable interface in our rectangle, and also we need to add the override keyword to the size. And as you can see how easy it is to add new behaviors to certain classes, and we don't need to deal with the already existing classes like circles and polygons and so on. And with composition, we will have something like this. So we will have an object, let's say in this case the rectangle, and it has different behaviors. Like for this case, it can has a resizable behavior, a drawing behavior, a movable behavior, even a rotatable behavior. And the good thing is that those behaviors can be combined together and we can remove and add behaviors easily. So we can just easily remove the rotatable behavior, and we can even add some new behaviors, let's say clickable behavior or so on. And that's the good thing about composition, that we can compose and combine different behaviors together. So as you can see in this video, I hope it gets more clear the difference between inheritance and composition. I'm not saying that we need to change inheritance with composition all of the time. Like there is cases where it's just much easier to use inheritance and you don't need that flexibility that composition offers to you. So you can just stick to inheritance. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video and see you next time.